Hello! Halloween is over, but for those of us who love horror games, there is always a room to delve into more dark and scary games. There are actually some interesting horror games for the Nintendo Switch, and I thought I would show some of them that I played recently. Feel free to subscribe to my channel and give the video a thumbs up. Let's go! Ravenous Devils might not look like a typical horror game, but the fact is, this might be one of the most gruesome games I've played on the Nintendo Switch. The game is about a couple who run a restaurant, but in order to be profitable, they use questionable methods. Behind closed doors, mass murders take place, and this is necessary to raise capital and develop a restaurant that is appreciated by the city's residents. The guests don't know what they are eating, and maybe it's for the best. The food is appreciated despite the ingredients. Ravenous Devil can be described as a fast-paced cooking simulator that requires good coordination and quick decision-making. You switch between two characters. The man receives customers upstairs, where he uses his scissors to make the process short. He then sends the corpse down to the basement, where the woman grinds it up into a tasty minced meat. Then the woman must combine various ingredients and sell the dishes to the guests. Basically a pretty simple concept, but it gets more complicated the further you go. More advanced dishes can be prepared and you can expand your restaurant, which means that more tasks must be taken into account. A pretty fun game actually. It's macabre and disgusting, but the gameplay is so engaging that I can recommend this game. The second game I want to highlight is actually more than a game, it's actually a series. Outlast 1 and 2 are perhaps among the best horror games for the Nintendo Switch. Although both games have different plots, we recognize the game design. Both games are very dark and your life sometimes depends on a flashlight. Yeah, without light you basically see nothing. So it's important to save on the flashlight's batteries and only light up when necessary. The first Outlast game takes place in an asylum that at first appears to be abandoned. A journalist goes in to investigate what happened inside, but quite quickly he becomes aware that something is not right. We literally see the living dead everywhere, and some are more aggressive than others. Sometimes you have to hide to avoid being discovered, and at the same time you have to find a way out of the building. This is a dark adventure that I think can suit all those who appreciate survival horror. Outlast 2 begins with a helicopter crash. Our protagonist survives and he seems to have ended up in the middle of hillbillies. And just like the first game, it's about avoiding evil people and find a way forward. This is also a very dark game and the flashlight comes into use once again. So if you want one of the better horror series for Nintendo Switch, then I recommend the Outlast games. Both games contain gory violence with lots of blood and deformed people, so it may be good to know that the games are recommended for ages 17 and up. Next on our list is Evil Tonight, a two-dimensional game seen from a top-down perspective. In this game you play as Sylvia, a modern exorcist. The first thing I want to say about this game is that the visuals are very well done and well detailed. It's pixel art at its finest. It may not be an easy task to create a scary pixel art game, but I think the developers succeeded well in creating an eerie and gloomy adventure that takes place in dark and creepy environments. The game also has the typical survival mechanic where it's important to economize the resources. You can use a few different weapons, but if you run out of bullets you can get into trouble. The same applies to one's health. You have to be careful not to take too much damage, because you don't want to use up your meds or things that restore your life. But overall, I think this could be a game well worth checking out. It's a very nice game that also contains a lot of clever puzzles, so with everything included, it can be worth a purchase. A while ago I reviewed The Bridge Curse 2, so check out that video if you want more info. But in general I can say that it is an entertaining horror game that takes place in a university setting. This game also contains many puzzles, but you can also expect to have to stay away from the game's enemies. Hiding is an essential part of the game. The game is divided into a number of chapters where we play a new character on each occasion, but the story weaves together in a way that I don't want to spoil. This game is also very dark and somewhat scary. In the beginning, everything seems to be quite calm, but the further into the game you get, the more freaky it gets, so there is a clear progression in the game. I had some issues with bugs the first time I played this game, but everything should be fixed now. It is possible to play through the entire game on Nintendo Switch without any problems. The last game I want to highlight is Alan Wake Remastered. In this game you play as the writer Alan Wake, who is searching for his missing wife. She has disappeared under mysterious circumstances, and now Alan must head out into the wilderness and try to find her. To help you, you have a flashlight that can be used to freeze the enemy. You can also find different weapons. In true survival style, you have to take into account the amount of ammunition you have. There is nothing worse than running out of bullets in the middle of battle. I think this is a version that flows pretty well on the Nintendo Switch, so it's definitely a game to play if you want a different type of survival game. So there we had a number of morbid games that are now available for Nintendo Switch. I'm sure I've missed a ton of good horror games, so feel free to mention some good games here in the comments. Feel free to subscribe to my channel and give the video a thumbs up. Have a great day. See ya!